We're live. Welcome back to the LOOPcast. It's Tom, Josh, and Erica. And of course, the LOOPcast brought to you by Zeal. You can see the divide on the show between the morning Ashers and the afternoon Ashers. Erica is representing happy Ash Wednesday. Happy or solemn Ash Wednesday.
Yes.
Beautiful tradition in the Catholic Church. Hopefully, everyone listening in here, go get your ashes today. Go to Mass in the morning, go to Mass afternoon. You could just do the service. What is it? To dust?
Yeah.
From
We got
dust,
the
dust
hard.
you return.
Yes. So we always, every year, my kids are like on bait. They take bets. So it's like Kalshi over here on which saying the priest is going to do. And it was divided. The parish we went to this morning, one priest goes, repent and believe in the gospel. He was like, the other priest was competing with him. He's like, remember, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. We definitely went to the dust to dust line. We like that. We went to that priest.
And then did you see like money change hands in the pews?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, all right,
people were like,
give her
okay,
50 cents for winning that bet.
Yeah, shout out to
probably understood. Be like, you'd have to put more into the collection plate so that
absolutely
the church would be the beneficiary. Less
so
guilt
funny.
that way.
That's right. I know.
Oh man, I love doing the show prep meeting and then getting hit with something like that. That's infinitely more entertaining than anything that we discussed. Love your family, Erica. Yep. But that being said, speaking of Christianity, so James Talarico pulled quite the stunt with Stephen Colbert. I almost got to give him a hat tip on it. We'll see what Josh has to say about that. I feel like Trump almost is hat tipping him on that. So what's going on in the Texas race, what he had to say on Stephen Colbert, and what Jasmine Crockett had to say. It's a big race to watch in Texas. So we're going to cover all of that. Also, Jesse Jackson passed away. And it's funny, I really do not know anything about Jesse Jackson. And it sounds like Josh had a literal confrontation with him one time. But the more that I'm reading about it, the more I understand that he was a key turning point for, what would you say, like religion in politics, Christianity in politics, kind of putting in his lot with the Clintons was a big one. We're going to hear more about that. And I'm just going to ask very innocent questions because I don't really know much about him.
Oh, that's always cute, Tom.
Thank you. And then finally, we are very, very, very close with a war in Iran. I think we have about a third of the U.S. Navy over right now. And we just had big negotiations last night. So I'm going to give a little bit of a state of play there. There was also a bit kind of bouncing around about the Vatican refusing to join the Board of Peace, in which Trump is not king, but I think he like made himself the head, and then there's no end in sight. So I think it's a little bit overblown. I'll give my 2 cents on it and what Parolin had to say. That being said, good news, Twilight Zone, everything you expect from a LOOPcast. It's going to be a great show. Before we do that, of course, we got to thank our sponsor, Charity Mobile. Now more than ever, it's important to do business with companies that stand with you and your beliefs. Charity Mobile is a pro-life phone company that serves pro-life customers and supports pro-life, pro-family causes. They send 5% of your monthly plan price to your favorite charity, and they have sent millions of dollars to charities over the past 30 years. Not only that, there are no sacrifices when you switch to Charity Mobile. All of their plans start with under $50 before taxes and surcharges. Their nationwide coverage is the same as the major carriers, and their friendly pro-life customer service team is based right here in the United States. Plus, Charity Mobile is running a special promotion for our audience. Use promo code LOOPcast to get their free phone offer with every new line of service, plus free activation and free standard shipping. Switch to Charity Mobile and buy the way you believe. To get started, visit CharityMobile.com and use promo code LOOPcast. That's CharityMobile.com, promo code LOOPcast. Thank you, Charity Mobile, for sponsoring today's episode. I say we shall get into it. Erica, what are we looking at with James Talarico? We've talked about it a little bit more on the show. It seems like he's getting more national attention.
Yeah, a little bit more national attention, and a smart move on his part. Early voting is set to begin, or was set to begin yesterday, Tuesday, in Texas for the Democrat primary for the Senate race. And one of the reasons this matters is that it's sort of a snapshot of which way Quo Vadis Democratic Party, right? Because you have Jasmine Crockett, who's sort of the epitome of this ultra performative TikTok Mamdani race progressive. She's running against James Talarico, who's a self-fashioned moderate. I believe he presents himself as a Christian cleric of some sort of his own church, and he's sort of the voice of reason in the Democratic Party. To celebrate, we had pro-Democrat Stephen Colbert invited Talarico to appear on the late night show on Monday to make his case to the American people
on CBS.
I'm going to use Jeff Blahar, box office poison over at National Review, his characterization of what went down. said that Colbert would have a statewide candidate on for the explicit purposes of electioneering was remarkable enough. What was even more remarkable is what happened next. Colbert announced that he was being forced to pull the interview from the network broadcast to avoid violating election laws. Colbert said on his Monday show that CBS had barred him from airing the planned interview, which is available in full on the Stephen Colbert Late Night Show YouTube channel, which is not subject to FCC regulations.
Notably at about 5 million views, which is astronomically more than his show actually.
We're up to 40 million. We're up to 40 million views as of this morning.
That's not even a joke. That's why I'm saying this is a smart op, because it's way more than his show actually gets.
Which is usually well under 2 million. So we're up at 40 million. Colbert stated that CBS made the decision due to new guidance from the Trump administration's FCC, Federal Communications Commission under Brendan Carr, regarding equal airtime for political candidates. And just a reminder for everyone, we went through this with the Jimmy Kimmel stuff last fall, that federal law since the 1920s has required broadcast media to give equal time to competing political candidates because they are FCC approved. Crockett was not slated to appear. She has appeared in the past, but not in the context of a political race. She was on with Ryan Reynolds, of all people, way back in May 2025, which feels like 2 centuries ago. Approximately. The interview is available, as I said, so you can go watch the whole thing if you want to do some real penance this Ash Wednesday. We'll get more into the content soon. But they're accusing the FCC under the Trump administration of censorship. And this is unprecedented because, let me just tell you what actually happened last year, and then I'm going to let Josh just rip. The FCC last year clarified the equal time rule, which originates from the Radio Act of 1927. The act had received some exemptions for what they call bona fide news interviews. But last year, the FCC said that, quote, use of broadcast airtime by a legally qualified candidate would require the broadcaster to place a record in an online political file so other legally qualified candidates, like Jasmine Crockett in this case, could submit an equal opportunity request. And it specifically mentioned late night broadcast shows and morning talk shows, The View, for example. So basically, if a broadcast station gives candidate A airtime outside of a qualifying news exemption, then candidate B can demand equal time and the station must comply.
Basically, just a tweak on that.
Go for it.
Basically, the idea is Sunday morning talk shows like CBS, this week or this week, as well as like the evening news on CBS or something like that. All of those shows have a sort of built-in understanding, like this is what we do is do news interviews, but like for the Tonight Show, for The View, even the morning shows like the Today Show, which are kind of like
Good Morning
blend
America
of entertainment and news, those are kind of a different category. So there's a need to tweak and understand the rules. So it's like, oh, well, we just brought this person on, I was like, really, so I think I think it was actually a good clarifying rule. It didn't seem like it was like trying to put the finger on the scale in any way.
Yeah, well, that's not what Stephen Colbert said. So he spent a good 6 minutes raking his own network, CBS, which has canceled him, obviously. Stephen Colbert is off the air as of May. But he raked them over the coal for bowing the knee, taking the knee in front of the Trump administration. Little quote here, "Let's just call this what it is," Colbert said. Donald Trump's administration wants to silence anyone who says anything bad about Trump on TV because all Trump does is watch TV. Ha ha. Very funny. I mean, that's talent right there.
Which is actually true, funny enough. Trump does make a lot of his decisions based on what happens on Fox News. That is actually like just a stated fact.
There you go.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah. Talarico, of course, also came out swinging, saying that CBS and others were undercutting free speech. He said, quote, "This is the party that ran against cancel culture, and now they're trying to control what we watch, what we say, and what we read. It's the most dangerous kind of cancel culture from the top." So Talarico playing the victim card there. CBS then responded. And this was interesting. CBS put out a statement saying that, in fact, Stephen Colbert was not ever prohibited from broadcasting the interview with James Talarico. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for 2 other candidates, including Jasmine Crockett.
Exactly.
And it presented options for how the equal time for those other candidates could be fulfilled. Instead of choosing to conform himself to the rules and regulations, however, Colbert made this into a censorship, bad orange man stunt, which landed, I said, over 40 million views on YouTube as of this morning. And Talarico, his campaign announced this morning that they had raised over $2.5 million in the last 48 hours as a result of the stunt. So,
You got to say,
golf clap.
hat tip. Even so, I saw that Jasmine Crockett responded to this because, okay, so just to be concise, the rules didn't had nothing really to do with Trump. It was all about Jasmine Crockett. Like it was another Democrat that should have been let on.
And we should be clear. Yeah. These rules only apply to broadcasts. So if Stephen Colbert's show was on a cable network, it wouldn't matter. He could invite whoever he wanted on.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why it's like kind of, this was a really smart parlay in a lot of ways because all of these rules are kind of outdated for where media actually lands. Like Susie Wiles, I guess, just had the entire administration outside of Trump inside a room, was like, the new pivot is paid media. Get yourself on podcasts, be on social media. And it's true. And like, there isn't anything that regulates those. And they clearly, numbers wise, are outperforming, especially with the younger demographics. So you're taking like kind of a low viewership show with Stephen Colbert, and in one night rationing up your ratings, you get to add the grievance politics of like Trump's doing this, you know, you get to be kind of the outsider good guy. And then it helps out James Talarico, who clearly is in line with, I would say like Stephen Colbert's vision of what Christianity and politics will look like.
So what happens as a result of this, right? Talarico gets massive boost. Millions of people watch the video that wouldn't have normally watched. He raises millions of dollars that he normally wouldn't have raised. He gets to play the victim against the Trump administration when in fact this rule was meant, you know, like, again, it's like, why would you silence a black woman? That's what's going on here. Why would Stephen Colbert silence a black woman? You're going to give the microphone to a white guy who invokes Christianity to attack Republicans, but you won't let a black woman. So again, what this tells me is that the Democratic Party is absolutely terrified that Jasmine Crockett is about to win the Democratic primary for the Senate race in Texas. And they are doing whatever they can to get James Talarico to be the nominee.
Nailed
it. Because if Jasmine Crockett is the Senate nominee, they think, by the way, Democrats think they're going to lose no matter who they nominate. But they are petrified. They are absolutely terrified that Jasmine Crockett would be the nominee statewide for Texas and absolutely destroy the Democratic Party's chances of doing anything statewide in Texas all the way down the ballot and hurt them because people will just stay home. Because in the governor's race, Abbott's going to win a 4th term easily. And so if you're a Democrat and you see Abbott going to easily win and Jasmine Crockett's going to be down by 15, 20 points in the polls, why would you bother to vote? So that hurts all the Democrats on the ballot down the ballot. That's what this is. This is protecting Democrats. They doesn't even care about the Senate. They don't even care.
I think it's smart party politics, even if it is
really.
Kind of, yeah, right. I was going to say, like,
100%.
You could say, is that not fair? Is it whatever? Maybe if you haven't read back into the machine politics that we enjoyed in America at a certain time, like this does feel
and
like
still do.
There's a veneer of like, okay, you know, we have primaries now that are open to the public to vote on, whereas like it didn't before. But this is very much still of the era of you're making backdoor deals. You're trying to knife people. You want to be popular as a party across the board, not just for one race. This one's really, sorry.
Can we play this
scenario perfectly executed? By the Democrats.
Yeah, this was a clip we didn't get to last show, but this is all happening in the context of these polls coming out, and this highlighted on CNN. I don't know if you can pull this up, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
But this was in the show last time. We didn't get to it, but just take a look here at what the Democratic Party is looking at in terms of voter perception going into the midterms.
Democratic base, right? But what about all Americans, right? How about all voters? Voters who say the Democrats are now too liberal. Look at this percentage. It was 42% in 96, 48% in 2013, now 58% in 2025 of all voters say that the Democratic Party is too liberal. The Democrats are moving to the left, the far left is gaining power, and there could be some electoral repercussions because what we see right now is voters, the clear majority, say that they are too liberal.
This is really interesting.
Yeah, there's that.
Really interesting. She's like,
really
they're not liberal enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the context of where this is happening. I don't know if we want to get into this, but I did put in one. I
Yeah.
watched some of the interview. It's very difficult to watch. It's so predictable, but here we go. James Talarico.
He kind of reminds me of a little bit like Rounded Edges Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah, if Beto O'Rourke had gone to seminary for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's such a great job. All right, we'll play it.
Well, for 50 years, the religious right, a political movement, that is the perfect description for it, they convinced a lot of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. Two issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, two issues that Jesus never talked about.
Marriage? Really?
Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers, how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting Republican. It was
Nothing
all
about going to
about
church?
how you treat other people. Don't.
Well, they
love
love
that.
that one. They love that
I can
one.
divorce my wife. I don't have to go to church. I can still be a
I've
Christian as
said-
long as you go to the soup kitchen.
I've
Cool.
said before, don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. And I think in our faith, we've got to get back to those fundamentals. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas, and when I was little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion, not an easy religion. He would always clarify, but a simple religion because Jesus gave us two commandments: love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment: love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation or immigration status or religious affiliation. And it's why I have fought so hard for the separation of church and state in the state capitol.
What? What a veer there at the end,
There's
too.
so many non sequiturs. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Can I give you an opportunity, Erica? Because and I'll say this in my thinking. I think there's a lot of, say, East Coast Protestants that kind of yearn for the return to this type of Christianity being brought back to the political lens. You know what I mean? Like Christ without a cross, I think you basically said.
Yeah.
And it's like comfortable, you know? It's like, I kind of like that they're saying nice things. It reminds me a little bit of like Obama era politics.
Yeah.
If you want to speak to exactly what he just did there and how that kind of aligns.
Well, I think he's articulating exactly what has emptied out the mainline Protestant churches over the last 60 years. It's that 100 really is that you take all of the clips, right? It's clip Jesus, if you want to think of it that way. It's like social media Jesus, where you take all the clips that can be interpreted in however most aligns with your preconceptions of how, one, you want to live your life. Like Josh said, I mean, he said Jesus never had anything to say about gay marriage. Well, he had plenty to say about marriage. I mean, we just had the readings last Sunday about whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery. Like it was pretty clear. But he knows that he's speaking to an audience that is utterly uncatechized and unfamiliar with the Bible. He himself might be utterly unfamiliar with the Bible if his Baptist grandfather was telling him things like there's just these two commandments. You can insert the word love, you can insert the word neighbor, and everyone in the audience just claps because they interpret those words to reflect whatever is in themselves. This is Christianity where I'm the Christ, Christianity where I'm in the seat of God. There's no demand upon me to convert or change or be challenged because all these
Thou
words
shalt
can be
confirm thy priors.
exactly. That's what this Christianity is, and it's very powerful with certain. I think you pointed to East Coast Protestantism, but also East Coast Catholicism too, of the older generations, because you get to keep the good feelings of like, I'm a good person, I'm going to be saved, Jesus loves me. You get to keep all the feelings without actually being anything's demanded of you.
I pay my taxes. I use my turn signal.
There you go.
Yeah, it
I'm
is,
a good person.
It also is such a clear, like you could rightfully critique people that you see on the right wing for kind of selectively applying Christianity.
Sure.
But then the way that he went about it was to just say, well, those people are wrong, but I'm going to use Jesus for my preferred things.
Yeah.
And I'm right. You know what I mean? Like, so it's almost an odd critique in itself. Like, you can say, okay, we should apply it all the time, seamless garment. Okay, so then you shouldn't downplay abortion in gay marriage, because clearly that's a part of the full picture here, right? And so it just seemed like it seemed like, yeah, he maybe used ChatGPT a little bit and was like, well, how do I align? I mean, he literally used the Annunciation as his sign that God okayed abortion because
Yeah.
Mary made a choice. So you're almost dealing with
It's really wicked.
such an
Very
insincere.
wicked.
Yeah, it's just so insincere on its
I mean,
face.
that's like why, for example, somebody made the point that the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, has mentioned like at least 14 times Ramadan because there's a large Muslim population in Michigan.
Yep.
And that she's only made one reference in her now 7-8 years as governor to Lent. And it's like, well, come on, man. Like, and I'm like, actually, you know what? This is the woman who used the Dorito to mock the Eucharist. I'm actually just go ahead and I'm glad you're not mentioning Lent, frankly. So, that I'd prefer, if you're going to support the mutilation of the genitals of young children and support abortion on demand and make me pay for it, I'd rather you just shut up about religion altogether. And the fact is, like, the assumption here is that somehow Christianity isn't imposing something strict on the right wing itself. Like, hello, like, Christian conservatives, like, you could make the case like, hey, I got plenty of sins I wish Jesus wasn't demanding me change and repent from. I mean, but it is, it is binding to me as well. So this idea that it's, I just find it all just ridiculous and silly, frankly.
Yeah.
So speaking of, I was curious about Jesse Jackson because, especially internally here, Tom McCluskey had a history with Jesse Jackson. We had a couple people on staff got pictures with Jesse Jackson. All I'm familiar with is Jesse Jackson Jr., who every time I've seen him has been kind of a race hustler. Is basically my
like
maybe I don't know enough about him, but like that's all I recognize him from. And so why was there even internally here so much? I don't know about goodwill, but like it seemed like he was a really compelling figure, and maybe there was an appreciation for him at a certain time. Like, who is Jesse Jackson? Just passed away. Rest in peace. Pray for the pose of his soul.
I figure there's no question about it, and he transcended not just the sort of left-wing Christianity, but also broke into politics as well as into the popular culture. So he, anyone who was alive, and watching TV throughout the 80s and 90s was very familiar with this person. He ran for president in 1984. He was pro-life at the beginning. And in fact, he wrote an article for Sojourners magazine in which he said, even if someone does take a life by aborting a baby, as a minister of Jesus Christ, I must also inform and remind you that there is a doctrine of forgiveness. The God I serve is a forgiving God. The men who killed President John F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. can be forgiven. And so he did write and did speak about, abortion, as the horrible crime it was. He ran for president in 1984. And then by the time, the late 80s rolled around, he had jettisoned his position and became a pro supporter of abortion on demand. So that was an unfortunate regret. I mean, he followed the path of other people in politics who were Democrats who were once pro-life. Dick Durbin, the senator from Illinois, was once pro-life. Al Gore was once, pro-life. All these guys, had started out, because the Democratic Party for a long time was, we're for the little guy, we're for the workers and stuff like that. So that was unfortunate, obviously. But he was also like a pop icon. I mean, like the way his rhetorical style was truly amazing. I mean, he's a Baptist. I don't know if it's a Baptist. I forget what kind of a ministry it was. Super powerful ability to command an audience. In fact, one of the funniest things he ever did is when he came on to Saturday Night Live. You should go Google it. It's absolutely hilarious. He read the book Green Eggs and Ham on Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
I mean, it's hilarious.
I have. You've sent that to me. That's like one of your favorites.
So funny. I don't think we'll get a copyright thing if we try to run it, but but the thing is, that's part of his legacy. The other part of it, of course, though, is he was a consummate race hustler. That he would draw, like people would claim, something happened to me. I got, I'm working for Xerox company or whatever big corporation, and they did something that some guy said something that was racist or whatever, and and he would basically do extortion to the company, say, I'm going to go on a nationwide boycott. I'm going to let everyone know all the horrible things you did if you don't just pay money to my organization, Rainbow Push Coalition or whatever. So the guy was a total hustler, a race hustler, absolute consummate Democratic guy, and he, again, play up the rhetoric about how Republicans were just out to get, black voters and disenfranchise them. It was total baloney. I was so sick of this stuff. And so December 11, 2000, there was a protest outside the United States Supreme Court as both sides were trying to figure out what exactly, the Supreme Court was going to decide on the all-important case Bush v. Gore.
Yeah.
And I'm there and, yelling and screaming a bunch of me. Here's this car, rolls up, and out comes Jesse Jackson. And he's going to join in on all the protests or whatever. And this guy had been saying, stay out the bushes, basically warning blacks to stay away from George W. Bush. Now, look, George W. Bush turned out to be a disastrous president, but
Al Gore wasn't exactly like
there was no good choice in 2000.
Yeah.
Buchanan, maybe, but
I remember being at the elementary school lunch table.
Well, I got to finish
almost
this
in
in 1
tears.
second.
Yeah, go for it.
He comes up, and I go right up to his nose, and I just go, shame. And then like his bodyguard guys like do like a semicircle around me or whatever. And I'm just like, what? You gonna beat me up? 23-year-old kid on the street. I just go, shame. Turn around.
23-year-old Viking Josh descends on Jesse Jackson.
We could do a whole episode on just like bizarre encounters with political figures that Josh has had throughout his life.
Yeah, I mean,
Pete Buttigieg being the most
Gingrich
recent.
outside the Library of Congress. We talked about the Civil War. I mean, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Speaking of, I remember being at an elementary school lunch table arguing over, was it McCain? I think I was like, oh, I wanted McCain to win over Obama, just because whatever my parents at the time were doing. Like we were having some real high level politics discussions over our juice boxes of like who's going to win the election.
I mean, second grade. I remember getting into it with another student because my family supported Mondale in 1984. Of course, it was Minnesota. And the person I was arguing against was totally in favor of Reagan. And I can't help but laugh about this because now 40 years later, she's a lesbian married to a woman and screaming about how horrible Trump is. And I'm like, oh, this is fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, man. And now Josh is more entrenched in his extreme conservative beliefs. National, I don't know. How would you define yourself, Josh? That's actually a good question.
Oh, how
Would
do you
label
identify?
yourself?
Today, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely a populist. Yeah. 100%. Again, I just
Interesting.
on economics, I'm not doctrinaire. I'm a recovering libertarian. I understand the way the economy works, but so I'm a little bit hesitant to favor government intervention in the economy. But I tend to be, I'm very much a Pat Buchanan on my beliefs.
A paleoconservative, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Interesting to hear you say that. Okay, let's go. B Block actually got an event to tell you about, of course, the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast.
You got to go.
Nation, if you want to hang out with Josh and you want to talk to him about his paleoconservative beliefs,
That's it.
A Nation Under God, celebrating the Catholic contribution to America's 250 years. We have March 18th. We got the Vigil Mass and the VIP reception. March 19th, breakfast program starting at 7. 1,500 attendees from across the country, over 50 Catholic exhibitors. All the good stuff. Nationally known speakers. We have names to announce soon. Group recitation of the Divine Mercy Chaplet. And Josh, of course, hangs out. He brushes elbows with the bigwigs in D.C.
That's
for
right.
us.
Rubbing elbows.
So if you want to hang out with Josh, that's the place to be. Go ahead. March 19th. Join us for it. It's going to be a
Feast
good time.
of St. Joseph, too. I mean, what better way to celebrate the Feast of St. Joseph? Go pray for the church in America. I love it.
Come on now. Okay.
I love it.
This was on my radar, actually literally on the world radar this morning. So we have some flight trackers going out, and I will show you now. So we are currently watching 36 U.S. Air Force aircraft, 22 tankers, 13 transports, and an E-3 AWAC. We're getting into military terminology here. Just take a look.
AWAC, yeah.
That is a lot of U.S. military equipment going overseas to the Arabian Sea. I'm going to center on Axios' reporting of what is going on. Trump's armada has grown to include 2 aircraft carriers, a dozen warships, hundreds of fighter jets, and multiple air defense systems. Some of that firepower is still on its way. So you get the picture. We have a major, major escalation in military buildup in the Arabian Sea around Iran right now. Iran actually just held a training in the Strait of Hormuz, which, of course, is a leverage for them at this point to shut down trade in that region, to hurt the United States economy. A lot of interesting debates being had right now over the strategic position of both countries and, of course, Israel. But I'm going to get into what we know at this point. A U.S. military operation in Iran would likely be a massive weeks-long campaign that would look more like a full-fledged war than last month's pinpoint operation in Venezuela. This, of course, follows the Operation Midnight Hammer, which at the time, very controversial. I mean, many people go back, Charlie Kirk banging the drum against not doing it. Many people thought we were going to go to war at that time. Turned out to be the end of, what do they say, like 7 days war. Just a quick hit, get out, hit on the nuclear enrichment sites in Iran. So the sources noted it would likely be a U.S.-Israeli campaign that's much broader in scope and more existential for the regime than the Israeli-led 12-day war last June, which the United States eventually joined to take out Iran's underground nuclear facilities. Such a war would have dramatic influence on the entire region and major implications for the remaining 3 years of the Trump presidency. There actually has been little public debate about this up to the point. I mean, we haven't even really talked about it. But basically, if you remember, Trump came close to striking Iran in early January over the killing of thousands of protesters by the regime. Instead, the administration shifted to a 2-track approach. Nuclear talks.
The question I have real quick before that: how do we even know that thousands of protesters were killed? I mean,
we don't. We don't. This is based on Axios reporting. They cut off internet in the country. I think they also tried to sneak Starlink in there to get something up, but that's based on Axios' sources. It's cloudy as to whether or not they were killed or weren't killed. There's a lot of different things shared around.
I'm not saying that
I can't confidently say that.
How do we know that they were?
Right. I can't say that
Very
confidently
spotty.
right now. This is based on Axios reporting. So I somewhat defer to them. By delaying and bringing so much force to bear, Trump has raised expectations for what an operation will look like if a deal can't be reached. As of right now, deal does not look likely. Trump advisors Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff met with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi for 3 hours in Geneva yesterday. Both sides said the talks made progress. The gaps are wide, and U.S. officials are not optimistic about closing them. J.D. Vance told Fox News that the talks went well in some ways, but in other ways, it was very clear that the president has set some red lines that the Iranians are not yet willing to acknowledge and work through. Vance made it clear that while Trump wants a deal, he could determine that diplomacy has, quote, reached its natural end. For also context, the Israeli government, which is pushing, what they are pushing for is a maximalist scenario targeting regime change as well as Iran's nuclear and missile programs, is preparing for a scenario of war within days, according to 2 Israeli officials. Some U.S. sources tell Axios the U.S. might need more time. Senator Lindsey Graham said strikes could still be weeks away, but others say the timeline could be shorter. Quote, the boss is getting fed up. Some people around him warn against going to war with Iran, but I think there's a 90% chance we see kinetic action in the next few weeks. The U.S. official said after Tuesday's talks that Iran needs to come back with a detailed proposal in 2 weeks. That 2-week window is similar to the 2-week window that Trump set to further talks last June, and then 3 days later, he launched Operation Midnight Hammer. So right now, no evidence of a diplomatic breakthrough after this meeting yesterday. However, based on what we've seen so far, it seems like Trump really likes this kind of get in quick, get a win to take back to the American people, and not have a prolonged conflict. We saw that in Venezuela. We saw that in Iran the first time. Noticeably, I was banging the drum before of like, I still didn't really like Midnight Hammer, although it was a very impressive military operation, because the thought of it just being a one and done seemed unlikely to me. And it seems like right now, this is really leading up to being pretty unlikely.
I think that's a good point.
If we do end up in a prolonged war, I think it seriously draws into question President Trump's commitment to ending foreign wars. Particularly, we still are at war in Ukraine right now. In Iran, we would be directly responsible. We haven't seen evidence
of supporting the war in Ukraine.
We are supporting, but we're also now leading this operation. I mean, Israel clearly has
no, I know, but I mean, in Ukraine, we aren't in the war. We are supporting.
But the point that I want to make is we haven't even seen at this point United States casualties. So it's interesting we don't actually know, Trump doesn't have precedent if we lose American soldiers in any type of conflict in Iran, what that looks like. Because in Venezuela, we got in, we got out, no U.S. casualties. We're kind of quietly supporting the war in Ukraine. This could be an entirely different thing if we do have casualties of any kind, and it could really lead us into, I mean, this is the largest military action we will have seen in a decade in the Middle East. It just completely changes the precedent. So that's what we know now.
Yeah, and I think though, looking at the context of what Trump has done so far, it also gives us a clue to what his preference is, even if we don't know what exactly he's going to do. And I think it's very clear, as you mentioned, that his preference is, I mean, he hates the idea of war, and he hates the idea of American troops on the ground. But in order to execute these actions, so the Maduro extraction being the most recent example, he does build up over and above what ends up being utilized. So what we saw in the Caribbean, I mean, if you remember, leading up to the taking of Maduro and his wife, leading up to that for weeks, it was, everyone sending up the alarm bells. There's going to be boots on the ground. I mean, the Marines were there ready to go. The Navy was there ready to go. They're like, this is the biggest buildup in the Caribbean ever and ever. And then, like you said, Tom, it ends up being this like one and done, in and out, really surgical strike. And so my hope is, and my gut is telling me that that's what we're going to see here, that the buildup that we're watching is a lead up to something hopefully very surgical without the boots on the ground. And we can say, well, it might all blow up. And I think that we were prepared for that to blow up in Venezuela, because why else would we have the buildup? We're going to rattle the sabers. We're going to intimidate the opposition. And if it goes south, like if the troops go in to extract Maduro and 3 of them get killed, then we are ready to ratchet it up to the next level. But the preference always being to avoid that scenario at almost all costs, right?
Yeah.
I think like having Israel being in there now as another player, it complicates it more perhaps than what we were doing in the Caribbean. But at the same time, I'm going to get in so much trouble. This is going to like set off the can of worms. But at the same time, Trump has had strong words for Benjamin Netanyahu, especially with the 7-day war. He did not like how that was going down. He's like, no, we're going to go in and do it our way. We are not going to consult with the Israelis. We're just going to go do our surgical strike, drop the bombs down the chute, which was amazing, and get out. So I think Axios has arranged the facts here in such a way that it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to war within days. They have the classic anonymous Trump advisor who's like 90% kinetic action. Like kinetic action,
Well,
what
it
does
might
that
even be
mean?
done. Yeah, I mean, it might even be done on purpose, of course. I mean,
Yep.
like Axios loves access. A lot of these reporters like that kind of stuff, and so it could be that the Trump administration is giving them secret information or intel because they want this story to get out. They want to scare the Iranians to the table and to do whatever it is. I agree with what you said earlier, though, Tom. Like, I actually supported what Trump had done in Venezuela. I know you were a little skeptical about it, but like, I agree with I agree with you that the concern here is that you could think that that could be a repeatable thing, easily repeatable here with Iran, when it's not necessarily. Like, first of all, there's a lot more Western civilization in South America, even though they're not as advanced as we are in North America in many ways. I'm not trying to pick a fight here, but that's just kind of like the truth. Whereas the Middle East is still way behind. And so the ability to just, we've seen that where despotic autocrats are replaced, whether it's in Iraq or in Egypt,
Libya,
and the
Syria.
replacement is far, far, far worse. It's not like, oh, if it were not for, Muammar Gaddafi, we would have, freedom.
A flourishing
Libya.
democracy in Libya right now.
Yeah, we're just there's a bunch of budding Thomas Jeffersons all throughout the Middle East. Yeah, sure.
Right. I mean, I think the Greater Israel Project has largely been destabilizing for the region and has cost Americans lives and tons of money. To pretend as though this doesn't have an impact on Americans is, I think, super naive. I mean, even just through inflation, how do you think we fund these wars? I mean, we're how many $1 trillion in 30 years? So I think I've made my stance pretty abundantly clear. I think even so, I'm seeing reports about what's going on in Cuba as well. I think they're working with, so Venezuela basically gave free oil to Cuba, from what I understand. Marco Rubio has a pretty strong stance on what he thinks should be done with Cuba. But I feel like it makes you can make an easier strategic case for the interest under the already established Monroe Doctrine for what's
Yeah.
going on there.
The
And
Trump
it's all being done
corollary.
that could be done very easily. I don't think it's just odd to me. There's incentives for the military industrial complex and clearly for foreign nations to make that seem like the same thing. And I just don't think it is. Like, Iran clearly has backing from Russia and China. They have strategic interest in that area. I don't blame them. Every country that has given up enrichment has been destroyed by the United States and Israel. It's a bargaining chip. Like, say what you want about North Korea, they're still intact today. I think the daughter, one of the daughters of Kim Jong-un is going to be put in. She's like 13 right now. But the reason that they still are a thing is
women
because they have
empowerment, that's
nuclear
good.
capabilities.
They can be dictators too.
So yeah, I mean, it's just odd that it's all put in the same thing. I'm obviously very cautious, and I think that I can only speak from people my age that I'm talking to. They are so worn thin on foreign entanglements right now that if anything does go on beyond in and out, or even if that happens again, I think people are just so tired of the foreign stuff that it's going to be detrimental for midterms. It's going to be detrimental for the Trump coalition going forward. We were promised no foreign wars. We keep getting them. I don't understand why, outside of maybe what's going on in Venezuela and Greenland, which makes strategic sense, we're trying to be sold this bill of goods about Iran that's just a completely different situation. So that's all I got. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is the Vatican declining the invitation to the Board of Peace. I saw it made the rounds, and I really think
unshocking.
Yeah, it's unshocking. People are making a big deal out of this. So, I mean, I don't even need to spend a ton of time. So, Head of State Cardinal Parolin basically was just like, no thanks. I mean, not even no thanks. He just said, quote, "The Holy See will not participate in the Board of Peace because of its particular nature, which is evidently not that of other states," which is obvious. The Vatican is not like Jordan. It is not like the United States. It's not like Israel. It doesn't have an army. So the Board of Peace was put on by Trump. It has, I think, like 20 some countries, and they all contribute billions of dollars. Some pay $1 billion for permanent seats. Some of the names of countries include Argentina, Egypt, Hungary, Indonesia, Israel, Jordan, Morocco, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UAE, and others. Trump's in charge. It basically is, they are in charge of demilitarizing Palestine. Notably, Palestine doesn't really have representation. They have some kind of proxy representation, from what I understand. But Gaza is their main focus. And it seems to me like the Vatican, it was odd they were even invited, but the reason they were invited was to try to get a stamp of legitimacy. And I think smartly,
100%.
the Vatican is like, we would not like to take you up on that offer. And he kind of mentioned after, like, we think the United Nations should be the one mitigating this kind of thing. Whatever you think about the United Nations, kind of beside the point. Like, what is the Vatican going to be doing on the Board of Peace? It would only give legitimacy where it could actually backfire. So I'm totally fine with this.
I will say this, though. If the Board of Peace or these groups, whatever, end up getting something meaningful happen in Gaza, the Vatican will be happy. I mean, like, the Vatican wants peace, but it's, it makes more sense for the Vatican not to be on this. So I agree with her.
100% agree.
That's all I got to say. Let's go on. Good news now. Erica, what do you have?
Yes. So we have good news about the LOOPcast. If you love the LOOPcast is about to get so much better. And how shall we get better? Well, thanks to Zeal, we have more Tom. We have more Tom at Tom Across America coming out. We've got plumbing coming up. It's going to be great. We have more Josh reacting to things in the way that we all know and love. We've got more Deep, more interviews. We've got Scott Hahn coming up next week. We've got Father Gregory Pine. And in order for us to be able to bring you all this great new content, we are going to be taking LOOPcast Live and condensing it all to one Wednesday show starting the first week of March. So Tom, Josh, and Erica are not going away. We are going to be bigger, better, and more focused. So, we have we cover 17, 18 stories a week. We're going to pick the best of those, and we're going to spend 1.5 hours to 2 hours every Wednesday just doing what we do and enjoying each other's company, talking about what's going on. And it's going to be great. And we are so excited for this change for the LOOPcast universe. it's going to be awesome. So thank you to
'Cause we
Zeal for
can't
making this possible.
bilocate, basically.
Yeah, here's
That's
here's the deal for Lent.
Yeah.
We're giving up 2 episodes of the Loopcast. That's the simplest.
Well, it's
but
not just for Lent, though.
not just for Lent, but continuing. But in seriousness, yeah, I think I'm excited about the change. I think it's going to be able to really help us focus in on what's most important. Another thing that we've been told too is that people like the Loopcast, but they can only listen to like a little bit of it because we do 3 a week, which is totally understandable. So if we condense, I'd like to do that Wednesday show, make it longer and actually have more audience engagement. So we're going to be adding a section that we're going to be pushing really hard for Q&A. So if you email us, loopcast@catholicvote.org, what do you actually care about? Like we sit and we try to prepare the show. We sit down with like the Loop team on what they're going to cover, but maybe we're missing something like totally at a local level or an actual debate that you care about that you would like us to speak on. So we'll still have it live. It'll be on Wednesdays. And so we're going to be asking the chat for questions, but in particular, really would like to hit that Loopcast inbox, loopcast@catholicvote.org, is where you can send us questions that we can think on, we can research, and then we can give you, a good take on that. And in general, you're going to get more of Josh, you're going to get more of Erica, you're going to get me in a completely different environment, but also we will be able to spend more time fully fleshing out what we want to talk about, provide more research, but it's still going to be fun. Like we're still going to have good news. We're still going to have Twilight Zone. So I think it'll just make the show better. And we're kind of preparing, hopefully, you for this because nothing is worse than when a show that you like just makes a drastic change without consulting anyone. So we want to make it a little bit of a soft entry there, but it's a good thing because we're just able to do more and different things. And I think all 3 of us are excited about bringing that new version of the Loopcast to you.
It's going to be great. So great news.
How long have we been doing this for? It's been like
3.5 years.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I think
That's
we've
so
been
crazy.
3 times a week live for 2.5 years, maybe just over, like closer to 3 years. But
yeah, so we've been doing a
it's
long
been a
time.
long haul.
It's been a lot, and people do remember. I had someone email in, be like, I remember when you were 1 time a week, and I was like, you've been around, man.
Yeah,
There's a time we were audio
that's
only.
Peter Wolfgang, our one fan.
Yeah,
Shout
our
out,
one
Peter.
fan who's been on since the beginning.
Bless Jen G in the chat who wants us to go every day. Yeah, I mean,
Jen.
the thing is, we have to be as best we can strategic about all the things that we're doing.
We have a
There's
very
lot of
lean
stuff that
team,
we
by the
do
way.
with Catholic Vote that I do with Catholic Vote. There's a lot of things that Tom and Erica do with regards to Zeal.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've had a great response to what Erica has done with the Deep,
Yep.
and Tom is really putting a lot of time and energy investing into Tom Across America. There's some other stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes that we're hoping to be able to do as well. But we have to be strategic about like what is the best use of all of our time and make sure we can keep advancing and sharing and the best of what we know about what's going on in the news and try to help it. So we think Loopcast is critical for that. And we just think that being a little bit more strategic and allowing for us to be able to continue forward to some of these other really good projects. So thanks for understanding of what we're trying to do here. I think we're really we're thankful so far with the reception that we've received on the Zeal. We're building something together, really, and I think it's exciting. So
Yeah, very much.
And
same time though. Same time on Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. So that will stay the same. Just I saw a question in the chat about that.
And of course, like none of any of this would have been possible without you, like the people that listen. So I always want to make sure that I take the time to just say, because I think it all the time, but I'm so grateful for the people that listen to the show. I'm so grateful for all of the people that have sent in feedback and questions. And none of this is possible with you and the entire, like I wouldn't even be doing this if it didn't attract these type of people, So I almost don't know if I don't know if you think enough, if I think enough about all the people that just silently listen and support and pray for us. So I just want to just express sincere gratitude. That has allowed us to try to take on new things, to hopefully give new offerings for you guys that you enjoy, maybe reach a new audience. And so, yeah, just instantly.
And we still want to
grateful.
do fun stuff like the election night stuff where we had
a State of the Union
address coming up pretty soon. So we'll be there for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. State of the Union.
Tom did not realize State of the Union was next week
like, this is
until
Tuesday?
this morning. He's like,
Oh,
wait,
man.
it's so yeah, we're gonna see if Trump. What last year he went 2 hours and 41 minutes, which broke all the records. So
that
we're
was
gonna
crazy.
see. I'm gonna make sure I have extra pizza this year because I ran out last year thinking it would be an hour. We'll see. Come on,
Yeah.
Trump. I believe
Yeah.
in you.
And of course, appreciate you guys, Josh and Erica. Appreciate Zeal. Just grateful. So keep an eye on that when we make some changes. Did you have another one, Erica, or are we going to stick with that?
I'm gonna stick with that.
Sounds good. Josh.
Yes. So what are we on right now? Or good news?
Good news.
Here's the thing: wages are improving. So every month during the Biden administration, wages were going down, but now we're in month like 13 of the Trump administration, wages are going up. But it's taking a while for people to realize that, and we need more talk like this from the vice president. I think he did really good explaining what was going on. Let's roll.
If you go back to the Biden administration, the average American lost about $3,000 in take-home pay during the 4 years that Democrats were in charge. In the first year of the Trump administration, average Americans have gained about $1,200. Now, there's kind of a good news, bad news dynamic there. If you're looking at it from the perspective of the last year, Americans have done better. If you're looking at it from the perspective of the Biden administration, we're still digging out of the hole the Democrats put us in. And I think that the question we're going to put to the American people is, do you want to give the government back over to the people who frankly burned down the house and made most Americans much less wealthy and much less safe? Or do you want to double down on the president's leadership, which has helped us recover from some of the problems caused by Joe Biden, and then has built a lot on top of it? Because so much of what we've done over the last year are things that are going to pay long-term dividends for the American people. $18 trillion of new investment. That's factories being built. That's wages going up. A 20% reduction in murder rate. We've obviously secured the border, and we've got a lot of criminals out of this country in the process. So there's a lot to run on. There's a lot to talk about. But, Martha, there's still so much to do. And I think it's up to us. It's up to me. It's up to the president. It's up to the entire team to make the argument to the American people that we've made your life better. And if you give us another couple of years of Republican governance, we can keep on building upon that record.
And I think the great way to do that would be to pass a reconciliation bill this summer that puts more money in the American people's pockets. Already, we're starting to see people who are filing their returns. Their average return has gone up like 11%.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, wow, I'm getting more money back.
Enjoying that.
And that's going to continue. But hey, cut taxes more? I'm not, my joke against the Republicans 20 years ago is all they did was bomb foreign countries and cut taxes. That doesn't mean I don't like you when you cut taxes. So go ahead.
And unfortunately, it looks like we
bombing.
bomb a lot of foreign countries. We're about to bomb a foreign country, but I would just like to evolve out of that, man. You talk about Pat Buchanan. He called all this a long time ago, by the way. Go back in the tapes. Him and Barry Goldwater talked a lot about this.
I know.
Actually, Ron Paul, too.
I still wish. So I saw that there was a shout out today. President Trump gave to Rush Limbaugh because I think this was the anniversary of his death. But what I really like to do is to see President Trump give, a presidential award, a freedom award to Pat Buchanan before Pat Buchanan passes away.
That would be nice.
And that would be a wonderful tribute.
Dude, he's the GOAT. I love Pat Buchanan. Okay. Mine. I love these interactions. I can't lie. I'm going to go really light today. This is going to be intellectual. Pope Leo. So you're not going to be able to hear it, but someone held up a big yellow sign, said, "I cut your brother's hair in Rome." And he totally like, he saw it. Like, you go back to the video, there's the yellow sign. He saw it. He's pointing, and he kind of talks back to whoever is with him as guard. He's like, "Hey, that basically is like, that's my brother's hairdresser." That guy cuts my brother's hair in Italian. It's so awesome.
Oh, and then he kisses the baby.
Yeah.
I cannot resist those.
He's like, yeah, he like points out at her like, yeah, she cuts my brother's hair. Indeed, it does. It's awesome. I think I saw another funny one. It was like, do you know, Pope Leo, that you have eaten the most hot dogs of any pope in history? And then he kind of goes back with only with mustard. Like, well played, Pope Leo.
Yes. Very Chicago. That's good.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. So funny.
Bob from
So
Chicago. That's
Okay.
right.
Sweet. We got Twilight Zone. Josh, what do you got?
I want to cover real quick 2 things here. So the far left in Minneapolis on the Minneapolis City Council actually delayed and prevented the renewal of liquor licenses for 2 hotels that allegedly housed ICE agents. They tried again last night to keep it prolonged and then not to renew these licenses. They ultimately failed by just 1 vote. Thankfully, cooler heads on the Minneapolis City Council prevailed. But could you imagine the lawsuit, the federal government coming after them for, like, you're not going to renew liquor licenses for hotels that house federal agents? Just absolutely out of their mind.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
But I just want to talk about immigration again. Like, let's roll a clip of someone who was born in Mexico, comes to the United States, and let's we all hear our stories. Welcome to Stranger. Let's hear what this woman has to say about her experiences in the United States.
Let me hold your hand when I say this. We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just move here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know
Slack notification in the background, hilarious, but continue.
Yeah.
that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars.
Right.
Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes.
Kind of awesome. Yeah,
I
the
will
Slack
see you-
notification suggests to me that she was doing this on the clock.
Yeah. Oops.
I mean, this is
Thanks
what
for
just
the-
gets me. Like, we get lectured so much, like, you're racist if you don't welcome the stranger and stuff like that. Like, but what about people that literally hate you? And I'm just here to remind you, like, you are under, like, no obligation to have people who hate you in your country. Like, love your enemy. Sure, she's my enemy. She hates me. Whatever. I love you, hon. I love you. I have nothing against you. I wish you the best. I wish you prosperity.
Dude, good, Josh.
You
good
apparently
job.
hate me in my country.
You were listening
So why
to
don't
Pope
you
Leo's
leave?
address.
Yeah.
Love that, Josh. Love your enemy. You're being nice to her. 'Cause you could. I'm sure you could have said much saltier things about the
But the fact is, I just want to let people know, it's like, you don't have to try to win the approval of people who hate you. As a Christian, you love your enemy, but that doesn't mean you have to allow them into your country anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Buchanan,
Yeah. Speaking of Pat Buchanan, can we
seriously,
just
I
need a
kind of
palate
appreciate. I
cleanser.
appreciate the honesty of that, and I actually do. I don't know if I could say it's like a majority of people, but there's certainly a string of immigrants that come in with that attitude, and you're just, and it just violates everything that but it's only if you believe in the kind of blood and soil nationalism of America as not an idea or an economic parking lot. You would actually have to think that there's something a bit more transcendent about American citizenship and the country itself.
Yeah, so unless you believe in completely wide open borders, like, you're an evil, racist, xenophobe, all this other stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, no, sorry, maybe I just want a country of people who love the country. Is that so crazy? I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I thought about
wanna-
how crazy
We have
the-
enough. Here's the thing: the biggest argument for immigration is that we need to bring in people who will do the jobs that Americans won't do. Guess what? There are people born in the United States who hate America. We don't need to import people to do the jobs that Americans will do. Americans will do that just fine. Just watch MS Now. There's a ton of people born in the United States who hate America. I don't need to import people who hate America.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that Harvard class that, as a part of the class, they teach people how to fill out like asylum for people. And then I was thinking about that more. I'm like, could you imagine if Harvard had a class that helped ICE identify illegal immigrants and then like track their GPS so that ICE could go get them and deport them?
my
Like
goodness.
it's basically the same thing. Like if you feel bad about that, you should feel bad about the other thing.
If
Isn't this, we're
Hillsdale
so
did a
beyond
class like that, there are people who call for the school to be burned down.
right, but it would be wrong for the same reason that that's wrong. It's like that's actually not what education is or should be. So I don't know why anyone would defend as if somehow that's a part of education. Like that's just state sponsored. That's like a job.
Propaganda.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's so crazy. Anyway, I couldn't believe that one. Erica.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll skip ahead. So speaking of education, while we were talking about Harvard there. Okay. I'm just going to preview this because this is so insane that I'm going to do a whole deep episode on this like next week or something after Scott Hahn comes out. Because once again, the ACT has nuked its standards. And some of the changes to the ACT, mirroring those of the SAT, which rolled out last spring, are again mind-boggling for an exam that has been suffering accusations of becoming irrelevant at admissions because it doesn't actually tell you anything. So here's what's changing. The ACT has reduced the number of questions, shortened its test time. It allows more time per question by like multiple digit percentage points, reduced answer choices for math questions from 5 possible answers to 4, and then it made the science test completely optional. So anything staying the same, the ACT scale and benchmarks will remain unchanged. There'll be no impact on predicting first-year college success, which is not great, have to say. So that's not good because you'd want to improve that. No impact on the paper and online tests both being still offered. So you still can choose to take it online or on paper. So that option's not changing. But again, this is part of a much larger, massive change to the standardized testing and rendering the tests even less capable of telling colleges where kids are actually at. Why is it doing it? Well, if you go to the website for the ACT, it is all couched as we want to make this easier for you as the test taker. We want to make you more relaxed and less stressed out about the test. So again, we're going to dumb down all the standards, and just because we want it to diminish advantages for non-accommodated test takers is another way of putting it. So again, I'm going to dig into this more. I want to hear more about what the justification is for this, but it seems to be in response to plummeting test scores. We have to therefore make the test easier, less stressful for the kids taking it. And yeah, I'm going to tease this because it's driving me crazy as far as what's going on. Turns out that there is another alternative. I'm going to highlight once again the CLT exam coming out from our good friend Jeremy Tate and his colleagues at the CLT. Multiple states have now, because of the SAT and ACT becoming just whatever they are, like, I don't know, feel-good puppy exams where you can go with your lollipops. They have more and more states are adopting the classic learning test exam as the admission exam of choice. Most recently, congratulations, Jeremy Tate, the University System of Georgia Regents has approved the CLT as the admission exam, as an admission exam for 24 of their 26 public universities. So the winning is not stopping. And I think the ACT is just fueling more success for the CLT with decisions like this being made. So very exciting on the education front.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Okay. Listen, Sash Wednesday. You know, I saw some funny. I'm gonna with funny tweets I saw about Ash Wednesday for Twilight Zone. So this is so relatable. This guy Carter Skeel on Twitter proposed Lenten sacrifices for the kids starting to roll in. 6-year-old wants to give up Domino's garlic knots. 4-year-old wants to 4-year-old wants to give up drinking beer and sitting in chairs.
That's too far.
Yeah.
Sitting in chairs.
Yeah, so
Give up drinking beer? Is that what it was?
How much beer is
the
your 4-year-old drinking?
wants to give up drinking beer and sitting in chairs. It's awesome. It's so true.
Which is ironic because, of course, there are some monks hundreds of years ago that all they would do during Lent was drink beer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That was
interesting.
it.
There you
That
go.
was their fast.
It's like a liquid bread. Yeah, liquid bread
Yeah.
fast.
Breakfast of champions.
So my son is reaching the age where
God,
he
Sarah.
will say, he will tell me what my 1-year-old is saying, which
Yes, I
spoiler,
love
my
that.
1-year-old can't talk yet. So he'll be like, oh, she said she wants to climb the stairs and she's not supposed to climb the stairs. So like, okay, thanks for the update, son. Okay, and then this one, other one is a cult classic, comes around every year. It's a meme. It says, "Me kneels and receives on the tongue, everyone else in the ashes line."
What?
Go get your ashes. Ash Wednesday. Go get your ashes.
That's right.
Beautiful tradition in the Catholic Church. And yes, the split. Thank you for representing the early morning Ashers versus the afternoon Ashers. Before we send you off,
We
speaking
had
of
an ice storm. I couldn't even go if I wanted to in the morning.
you got an ice storm. It's
Oh, you're in
60
an ice
degrees
storm?
here, buddy.
Oh,
School closed. Yeah.
That's tough sledding. Tough sledding.
Arctic
Okay,
Pulaski.
so what I will send people off with, of course, part of this, what we're expanding is we have all these offerings on Zeal. Some you may not have heard of. Forgotten USA, a classic. Oh my gosh, sorry, shameless self-promotion. Tom,
there you are,
double
Tom.
there.
Yeah.
February 24th, you're going to get another episode of me competing in the ice fishing competition. But one that I want to draw your attention to is this show called Food Fight. The way that I would put it is like it's almost like a more punched up version of what Jubilee does, where they'll sit people down that disagree, but very entertaining. These were done a while ago, so it was a bit of a pilot program, and I think we're looking to do more at this point. So go check out the format.
It's very unscripted, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, you think, oh, here's somebody who's gonna, you've pigeonholed this person's gonna be conservative. Oh, they're gonna say X, Y, and Z, and all of a sudden you got a curveball, and you find out that average people have very complex and feels like schizophrenic views, but you turn on the microphones, you turn on the cameras, and you let people talk, and it's kind of amazing.
It is interesting. That is part of, well, I guess I'm excited for Tom Across America too, because you get to talk to people and you find out that they don't fit into the boxes that you maybe see if you scroll YouTube and go through the talking heads of like what they're pushing. They actually are much more complex, much more emotional in a natural way. Although some of the people online are pretty emotional too. But yeah, so basically getting a little bit more into the humanity of everyone. So Food Fight's a great start for that, but a lot of what we're trying to do on Zeal, especially Forgotten USA, it just gets way deeper into the humanity, which is awesome. I mean, there's really, you see our humanity, you see me, Josh, and Erica's humanity here, but there's only so much you can do kind of shuffling through. I was even thinking, Josh, you brought up the leaks. Like, for example, for those that don't know, especially with wartime stuff, there's people inside of different factions of our government choosing to leak information to journalists, and their job is to post that leak. So it's like they didn't get that through a hack. They got that because someone on the inside slid them something, and they want to present that. So it is kind of interesting. A lot of the, like, we go through
Sometimes the leaks
line.
are intentional by the guys on top. Sometimes
They
they're not.
are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes they're not, and sometimes it's hard to get through all that. That's the fun job that we have, of course. But okay, and then ending today's episode, we actually have a video from Cardinal Raymond Leo Burke.
Yay.
The man, the myth, the legend. It's a daily prayer for America 250. I think we can probably just play it.
Let's roll it.
And pray along.
O Sacred Heart of Jesus, King of heaven and earth, I place today my nation, the United States of America, into your heart, pierced for love of us. On the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, I acknowledge that true liberty is your gift and that our lasting homeland is the eternal kingdom of God. Under the mantle of Our Lady of Guadalupe, patroness of the Americas, and through the intercession of her Immaculate Heart, bless my homeland anew, purify her from sin, and guide her leaders in truth, justice, and peace, so that she may safeguard all human life, respect the integrity of marriage and the family, and honor the practice of religion. Reign in my home and in my nation. Draw every heart into communion with you, that your truth, love, justice, mercy, and peace may triumph in America and throughout the world. Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. St. Thomas More, St. Fidelis, Our Lady of Guadalupe, pray for us. Happy Ash Wednesday. Hope you guys have a fantastic